Now, business, labor, the community sector and government have agreed on an economic recovery plan. Now, it was adopted at a negotiating forum at NEDLAC yesterday. Details of the plan, however, are under wraps as President Cyril Ramaphosa presents it to Cabinet today. Ramaphosa is expected to discuss economic revival during his address tonight. Now, for more on this, I'm joined by Lisa Seftel, the Executive Director of NEDLAC. Good to have you with us this afternoon, Lisa. I do understand that the details will be given by the President, but overall, what are the areas that have been agreed upon and what is this plan that has been put in place?
Okay, I think the latter part of your question is easier to answer. So this is not another economic recovery plan, but more an action plan which draws on and builds on the many recovery plans that are coming both from government as well from business and the proposals from labor and community. And what it attempts to do is to identify the priority commitments that both government need to deliver on, as well as other social partners, to be able to, for our economy to recover and for it to be rebuilt.
There is the issue as well of the contraction of the economy and the successive recessions that we have experienced. Was that discussed as well as ways of how to turn the tide around?
Absolutely. I think that there is an acknowledgement of the severity of the crisis that is faced by our country and the fact that it takes all parties doing smart things, not just doing things that they agree upon, and difficult things to be able to turn the economy around.
Well, one of the issues, and we all know that a reliable and affordable source of power is essential to run a country and to run business. And we look at Eskom and the escalating debt. What are the type of resolutions that came regarding not only Eskom, but the provision of energy and power?
So definitely the issue of energy security was top on the agenda because it is an enormous enabler for the restructuring and the reconstruction of the economy. Now, since the end of last year, beginning of this year, the social partners have been discussing a framework agreement for a social compact to support Eskom. And I think that we can all recall that end of 2019, early 2020, energy was the issue which seized us the most and was one of the biggest inhibitors to being able to get out of the crisis that we face. And so it was at that point in time that the social compact began to be discussed, and then there was, what can you say, a hiatus, or, it was put on a slower pace when we had to deal with the COVID epidemic. But now there is agreement, and it's a very detailed agreement which does relate to issues of energy security, about all the social partners assisting with the mobilization of resources. And then it also looks at ways in which energy, can I call it energy diversification, as well as ensuring that when that happens, there is a just transition.
We are also looking at an unemployment rate that now sits at around 30%. What were the areas that were discussed around this, providing employment for the country's unemployed?
Well, I think the measures will be announced by the President, but there is a focus and consensus that anything that we do must be employment-centered, must be labor-intensive, must focus on those sectors of the economy which are most labor-absorbing.
What the President says here is that the plan is directed towards building confidence, he says, and placing South Africa on a path of investment and growth. What are the type of timelines, and I don't really expect you to go here into specifics, but what are the timelines that were discussed to be able to get South Africa investment ready, especially considering the fact that we have suffered yet another downgrade?
I think that is a very important point, and the social partners were really seized with what are the activities, what are the action steps that will send messages of confidence, business confidence, confidence by all the people of our country that we can be a destination which has a future, where there should be investment. So there's a number of short-term actions that we hope will do just that and build investor confidence.
You know, Lisa, there's often a sense that there are a lot of talk shops, that, there are a lot of imbizos, lots of discussions, making plans about plans. But what type of assurance is there that whatever was discussed is actually implementable and will be implemented?
I think I can answer your question in two ways. As I said at the beginning of the interview, this is not necessarily another plan, but it's an action plan. It's a set of commitments to do action that the social partners have agreed to. The second thing is that the plan involves implementation arrangements which seek to hold the different social partners to monitor their performance and to hold them accountable. So this process does not end once the plan is announced by the President. In fact, that's when the process begins.
And how detailed is this process going to be? Is it sector specific? For example, we saw with the announcements from SETSA not too long ago about all the various sectors that have declined. For example, a focus on manufacturing, on agriculture, and how those various sectors are going to be revived.
Obviously, you can't talk about the economy without differentiating between different sectors. And there is also an acknowledgement that there are some sectors that have been particularly stressed. I was listening to your interview earlier on about the tourism sector, of which the entertainment is part of. And so, yes, there has to be a sector focus.